So hi and welcome to another Tech Tuesday. Today we're going to be taking a look at this Razer Huntsman Elite here keyboard. It's an opti-mechanical keyboard, so it's got a little bit of a different twist on the normal mechanical keyboard, and it's just out now from Razer themselves. If you haven't already been following my Tech Tuesday series, I go through the pros and cons, I'll show you some gameplay with it, and then I'll show you the unboxing at the end and just give you my general thoughts about what I think from the keyboard from my point of view. If you want me to look at anything else, technology and gaming peripheral wise, put it in the comments and I'll certainly do that. And I'm going to start looking at releasing a budget series as well for reviews, probably on a Thursday, and a Tuesday will be some kind of more premium stuff like this Huntsman that $200 or 200 UK pounds, not everyone can afford. This is a very expensive keyboard. It's the top of the line. It comes in comparable kind of placement with the Corsair K95 Platinum. Although it's not the dearest keyboard you can buy, it's certainly getting up there. Let's take a quick look here, shows you what's different about this optical mechanical keyboard. It has a mechanical feel, but with a laser. It has an optical actuation where you break the laser beam when you push down the key, and therefore it picks up that response a little bit faster than a mechanical keyboard. To be honest, I don't think anyone's ever going to tell that difference. I think it's more of a little bit of a gimmick, but it's a little bit of a different look onto it for a different type of switch. And Razer have been trying these different switches for quite some time. They've done the Ornata, which I'll put a link in the description, I've done a review on that. They've got the Black Widow that I've got as well. And they've been messing around with different types of switches to try and get you these kind of different feels. And this is their next take on it. So one of the things to note about this Razer Huntsman is the thickness of the cable. It's got to have 2 USB connections on it. Power it because of the additional chroma this thing's got to run. Quite a big block at the end, and it is quite a thick cable. So if you're doing a lot of cable management, or you're looking to route these cables your desk, you have to have quite a significant hole to most keyboards, but if you're used to the Razer Black Widow size, it's pretty much the same as that. So the first thing to note about this keyboard is how more simplistic it looks. It looks a lot more like a standard keyboard with a few chopped edges. It kind of tapers inwards at the bottom here, which I like. It's got the RGB lighting around this, as well as the wrist pad, which I'll show you in a sec. Keys do stand a little bit proud of the keyboard itself, but I think this is a great looking keyboard. I've wanted Razer to make a bit more of a simpler looking keyboard, which this is, but it's nicely done with RGB. I've always personally found the Black Widow shape a little bit funny. I've always been more of a traditional keyboard kind of guy. I love the new media keys. I love the way they've got the caps lock and control scroll light down here next to the arrow keys. I just like how nice this keyboard looks. The only gripe with it potentially is that it looks quite similar to all the other keyboards out there. Razer's Black Widows have always looked a bit different, and this one is kind of looking very similar to like the Logitechs and the Corsairs. I do like the keycaps. They're like a smooth plastic, but they feel really nice quality. They feel very like, again, the Black Widow keys. The keycap themselves are very similar to the Razer Black Widow. They're all this kind of standard. They're not like the Ornata where they're a little bit thin and they sit on top and wobble. There is minimal wobble on these keys. They are very good. The only thing I find that I particularly don't like about this Razer Huntsman is these media keys, although I like them having them there because you used to have to push like function F7, 8 and 6 to kind of scroll for your music. You don't feel the best. You feel a bit cheap. The scroll wheels look beautiful. I love the way the volume's there. I love the mute button for it. That's much better. But these 3 keys here, these 3 media keys that you've got, play, pause and forward, they could have been nicer quality. So looking at the style of the keyboard, like I say, you've got this RGB lighting all the way around it. It's got the standard chroma effects that you'll see. I'll be doing a video on that, so keep your eye out for that, what kind of effects it can do. But if you're used to the Razer chroma effects, you're going to pretty much have seen them all anyway. There's nothing different here about the Huntsman in its effects that I can tell, apart from we get the RGB light for the pad. So moving on to it here with the wrist pad. I always said the V1 Chroma Black Widow didn't come with a wrist pad. The V2 did, and it was magnetic. Huntsman here has this pad as well. It's the same material. It's got this nice soft touch leather. One of the main differences, as you're already probably all aware, is it's got the RGB lighting around the base of this wrist pad, which actually is quite nice. I'm not into RGB that much, and I quite like how subtle this Huntsman is, even though it has a lot of RGB. It's not in your face. You can tone it down, you can turn it off. I like the little trims around the edges on the keyboard. I think it looks nice. One thing I still don't like about the Razer keyboards is the RGB light that they put on the spacebar in the middle of it. I know they're trying to light up the keys, but either make it really long so it fits the whole spacebar, or just don't have it. I hate this like tiny line on the spacebar. It just, for me, doesn't work. It would have been nice to see a slightly bigger font on these keys for the F keys, escape keys, enter. This enter key on the numeric keypad's a little bit naff, it's a bit small, the font. It would have been nice to have slightly clearer font. I think probably not as clear as I would have expected here from Razer. And this is being picky because this is one expensive keyboard and I expect it to be perfect for this price. The font to me does seem the same as the Black Widow V2. In fact, these keycaps could have been off the Black Widow V2. They are very, very similar. On the top, you've not got too many other functions really. You've got some brightness for the keys. That's really it. There's nothing other functionality to these keys. It doesn't have any macro keys on the side like the Black Widow. To me, that's a plus. I don't really use mine. Some people might find that a little bit annoying if you've got into using those on the Black Widow and you don't have that. It's got a 2-stage rear rest to be able to raise the keyboard off the desk. That's great. You can have it at 2 levels. Nice bit of flexibility there. It's got a lot of rubber pads on the base here, which actually makes it quite sticky, and probably the most rubber pads I've seen on the bottom of a keyboard in a while. It's nice here from Razer to make sure it's going to be secure. I do feel that it's going to have the same issue as a lot of the Razer feet though, where they are that good that they collect a lot of rubber, they collect a lot of dust, and then you'll be cleaning them forever because once you start collecting dust, they slide around. What's the build quality like? Well, most of it's made out of plastic, which is a bit of a shame. It would be nice to see some metal finish in here. It doesn't necessarily leave fingerprints though, unlike, so you don't have the issues that you would get on the Postal K95. It's pretty fingerprint resistant overall. Flexibility wise, I'd say overall there is some flexibility in the keyboard. It is minor. It's built well for a plastic keyboard, but it would have been nice to have seen Razer use some more premium products here. So there's 2 measurements here, one with the wrist, one without the wrist. So the length's the same. The length comes in at 448 millimeters in length. Width without the wrist pad is 140 millimeters, and width with the wrist rest is 240 millimeters. It comes in a height of 36.5 millimeters high, so it's quite a low profile keyboard. A lot of people have been talking about the new connection device for the Chroma functionality here on this with the wrist pad, and that you're going to be able to use other devices on it. I've not really read much about that, so let me know in the comments if that's going to be the case. I'm interested to see what kind of things they're going to do with that, because I'm not sure I'm going to use the wrist pad. I'm still going to swap this out for my Black Widow V1, and I'm looking at another keyboard to replace my V2. This will be my main gaming keyboard for the next few weeks. I've been using it anyway for things like Squad, using it on Postscriptum soon, just trying to get a feel for it so I can get used to what it's like to play with, as well as general day-to-day typing, which is probably what I use the keyboards more for. I use an old Weaver or a Tartarus kind of gamepad for my gaming stuff. So if you're not sure what the difference is between the Elite Huntsman and the Huntsman, it's 2 things really. It's the wrist pad and it's the media keys. The other one doesn't have the RGB lighting underneath either. The main things if you're looking at which one to buy is the wrist pad and the media keys. To me, for the extra $50 or 50 quid, you might as well get these, because I know these media keys will be useful to people. I certainly use them for Spotify and things, and I was a bit fed up with using Function F7, F8, although I've got used to it. So I'm going to have to try and flick across now to using these media keys, but overall it's been quite a good change here from Razer. I'm definitely a fan of the way it looks. It's probably one of the best looking keyboards I've seen for a long time. Let me know in the comments which one you think is the best one from Razer, but this one is looking mighty fine. So now that we've done the pros and cons here and what I think is good about the keyboard, let's show you what's actually in the box itself. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out my other videos and quite a lot of Razer stuff. And until the next one, I'll see you all again. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.